Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode here of Banish the Doubt. I am George McNamara. You know, my videos are titled "Banish the Doubt." I say that because I believe that doubt is the biggest obstacle for somebody living a life that they envision, that they dream about, that they see others living. It could be a life of somebody making multiple six figures. It could be the life of multiple millionaires. It could be a life of a billionaire. It could be the life where someone's in, what they perceive to be a very happy relationship. They perceive the other. Whatever it may be, the bigger job, the promotion at the job, becoming the boss, or maybe even owning a business. Doubt. You see over my shoulder here, I think this is one of the best quotes I've ever heard. It's from Neville Goddard on doubt. And he says, doubt is it's a silent saboteur. Silent. We don't talk about it, but it's inside. And it robs us. I'm going to paraphrase. It robs us. It whispers to us. So it robs us by whispering to us, saying, that's too far fetched. Yeah, you'll never get that. And it robs us of the dream before that dream ever takes form. David Hawkins talked about the intellect. The intellect is the great block, blocking out the truth. It's the ego. Hold on one second. I want to get something that I think it helps illustrate this a little bit better. So here is, just an hourglass, right? The top part of this hourglass is who you and I truly are. It's the opportunity. The sand going through this, so you really can't see it, but the sand is going through here and it's started to accumulate at the bottom. The top represents the idea that you see, the relationship, the job, the money, car, the lifestyle people are living. The neck here, this narrow spot here, this where the thoughts go through, is the doubt, is the intellect, is the analytical mind, is the way we think. Down the bottom is the opportunity, this life that you want to live, or the life that you are living. Everything works through here. Your life here is the life with the relationship, the health, the career, the lifestyle. And it also is the life of the one you're living while you're watching me now. That narrow spot, that narrow pathway is the intellect, is the doubt that those gentlemen talked about. But where does that come from? How does one get that? Are we born with it? Well, I want to show you here something that I saw Bruce Lipton show. And again, I found that to be very, very, very powerful. Okay. Now, what I have here, this 3T. 3T represents third trimester. When you and I were just the fetus, everything that mom thought those doubts, that mom had those types of doubts, that type of a block of the truth, the intellect, whatever that was energetically sent to us through the umbilical cord. At age 0, when we're born, we are observing from age 0 to age 2. We are just observing the world. We're observing the relationship between parents. We're observing the family, the nuclear family, if you have any brothers or sisters. It is in this area where here, from 0 to 2, think of, if you're a young lady watching this, think of you're playing with your dolls, right? And you put tea in the cup, and your dolls all assembled, right? To you, there actually was tea in the cups. But to the adults, you're imagining. To a young boy, you were Superman, or you were whoever your hero was, right? You put mom's bed sheet on around your neck, and you are Superman. That there, we're in what's called delta brainwave state. Very slow state. The kind of state that we're in when we're sleeping in the middle of the night and we're dreaming. So from 0 to 2, from third trimester to 2, we're observing. We're not talking. What was your household like? What were the conversations in your home around money? What were your conversations? What was that dynamic between your mom and your dad? What were the nonverbals? Was there a lot of love? Was there anger? Was there whatever it was, stress? See, because these conversations taking place here formulated your life. That was the operating system being downloaded into your mind. From 2 to 7, we enter into what's called theta brainwave state. Theta brainwave state is the state where you're in as you're drifting off to sleep. You're laying in bed. Your brainwaves are starting to really slow down. It's the brainwave state when you first wake up and you're sort of groggy and you're kind of making your way to the bathroom. You're coming out of delta, you're going into theta. This is when we're still, a lot of observation is taking place, but you're starting to talk now a little bit. This is when you hear things such as money doesn't grow on trees and we can't afford that, right? Or if you're crying, I'll give you something to cry about, right? What? Because I said so. I want to think about these conversations. Again, you're also still observing here. But you're starting to talk. And you would never tell your parents, hey, you shouldn't talk to dad that way. Hey, you shouldn't talk to mom that way. Or whatever it may be. Also, in these first 7 very formulative years, we're being enculturated. Lots of rules, right? We're learning a lot of rules here in these first 7 years. Hey, we're very proud, fill in the blank American or whatever country you're watching me from. This is how we're tribal, right? This is how we do things. This is what we do as a collective, as a tribe. Very much the ego is developed here. Us versus them. We are not those type of people, right? But also one thing I want to bring to your attention, this is here, this is your subconscious. This is the subconscious, not the conscious. So everything that's downloaded here, everything I just spoke about, goes into Well, Bob Proctor talked about this. You can watch his videos here on, you can watch his videos, you can watch Dr. Hawkins, Dr. Bruce Lipton, all this, all this is going into your subconscious mind. It is setting up, it is the operating system. These are what we call, these here are what we call programs. This is the programming. Your mind is like a computer. So what are these conversations about? And so here in these areas, these years, the Jesuit faith, think of Fordham University, the Jesuit faith for 500 years, 500 plus years. I don't know if you can see that or not, but 500 plus years, the Jesuit faith has been telling their followers, give me a child, newborn, from newborn to age 7, 500 years, and I'll give you the adult. I'll give you the person who thinks this way. Here, doubts. The person who doubts, the person who wants this life. I mean, over here, the person who sees this life, wants this life, would love to have this life, but ends up living a life of mediocrity, of just getting by. Person who gets a job, a job, stands for just over broke. The Jesuit faith says that. So, so from age 7 to age 12, now we're entering into your conscious mind. Actually, right here is your alpha brainwave state from 7 to 12. This is alpha. Alpha brainwave state is, I like to think of alpha brainwave state as slow conscious. It is when you're sitting on the couch and you're vegging out, you say, right? You're watching TV, but you're really not. You're kind of watching, but not really absorbing or being able to understand what's going on. You're not really paying attention. That's alpha. From 12 on is where we're at now, beta brainwave state. So then how do we turn this Titanic around to get us to the thinking where we attract the money into our life, we attract the relationship into our life, we attract the job, the promotion, the health. When we're in beta, when we're out and about, and we start to notice our thinking, gossiping. We see a posting on Facebook and we react to it as political, let's say, or whatever. Or we get involved, we start complaining, we start judging, we start acting certain ways, okay? Ways that have been downloaded into us. We're here. We start to notice that. We start to notice, wait a minute, this is the old programming, okay? And the time when a thought comes into our mind, actually, this way, when a thought comes into our mind, okay, so that thought comes into our mind, the time between that happens and then we realize We realize pink, it's a programming. We realize, wait, but that's the old programming. The period in between the two, okay, this period is referred to as a refractory. This is called a refractory period. Okay, the time it takes between the thought that goes into our mind, that's the old programming. We realize, well, it's the old programming, the doubt, all that. And we say, but I've got to change my thinking. That's referred to as a refractory period. Okay, the shorter the distance between those two, the more you're going to start to attract those things into your life. The more you're going to start to attract these things. And you're here, you're thinking, wait a minute, that's the old thinking. That's the old thinking right here. Refractory period. So you start noticing things start to take place in your life. You take time out of your day and you meditate. You start to talk to yourself. You start to act. You start to see yourself as the person you want to be. Because everything is here first before it's out here. Okay, all this here, the house, the pad, my talking to you, the video, everything was but first a thought. And an attention to that thought. Up here, you can see this. Everything first, a thought, imagination. Now our attention or our assumption of this imagination, our assumption, Neville Goddard talked about this, equals our desired result. Everything in your life right now works off of this here, this formula, because this here, right, we just established, it's here, right, the imagination. Now the parents said to some, hey, little genie, Elton John, little genie, hey little Tommy, whatever it may be, you're imagining that? Yes, stick with that. Yes, that's going to carry you through your life. Yes. But what does most people hear? That's just a dream. That's just fantasy. That's just Disney or whatever. So the child then thinks, oh, okay, well that doesn't really happen. That's imagination. That's cartoonish, right? When in fact, that's exactly the formula. We had the formula at this age. Imagination plus attention. There really is tea in those cups, right, girls? You really are Superman, right, boys? You really are the fireman, that whatever you really have. If that thought comes into your mind, the imagination is because there's a that's already finished in your life. There's an image out there in the universe. You desire it because it's already finished. Creation is finished. So this is how we get the doubts and the intellect blocks the truth. It is this. The little self. Okay, the big self is us, is where we came from. This is who we are. This is truth that I talked about with the intellect. The intellect blocks the truth of who we are. The small self operates here. The ego, blocking the truth, the divinity of who you truly are. Everything that you can desire already exists here in the field. It exists because you have a desire, otherwise it would not exist. So change the way you're thinking in each moment. Capture those moments and say, wait a minute, that's the old me. That's the old programming. I was at a sales meeting the other day. I was over there and I was one of the newer people. I told him, I said, hey, listen, I want to show you the sales board. I want to show you specifically some of the top salespeople and what they accomplished this past week. And I paid particular attention to the persons and a couple of people that I brought over there. I paid particular attention to where they operated, where they thought, what they did right after that. And I could tell instantly. They doubted it. I could tell just by their energy, but just by what they were thinking. They were thinking, oh, okay, that's them, but that's not me. They didn't have to say a word. I picked up on it instantly because who you are comes out of you energetically. Doubt, all that is put forth way before the actions or the non-action. The action or the non-action is because you either believe it or you don't. The non-action or the action is the imagination. They saw the results. Their assumption, whether or not it's good for them, and there's the desired result. They don't desire it in the sense that you and I desire, or whoever desires a relationship. So I'm talking about it's the unconscious result. I should even put my hand over here and just say here equals result. But in this formula, it's the desired result. Hang on to that refractory period. Remember that refractory period when you catch yourself. Say, okay, good. I'm reducing the time, and go back to that. This is how we can observe and understand the doubt, and then start to change that. It's always going to be there. The doubt's always going to be there. But it's the refractory period. It's us saying no, going back. And you're going to start noticing people are going to start showing up in your life. Events are going to start taking place. One of the great affirmations to write down and to live with the rest of your life is the one I heard from Bob Proctor. And it simply says, I am. So it centers you. I am right here now. So happy and grateful. Gratitude. You can even put your arms open. Sometimes I'll do that. Open up my arms. Okay. And tell the universe, I'm so happy and grateful now. Again, present tense. Now that money comes to me in increasing quantities. So we're telling the universe, oh, you want money to come to you, George? Oh, how do you want it? Oh, increasing you. Okay, increasing quantities from multiple sources. Did you know that only 1% of the population lives that way? It has multiple sources of income. 98% of the world does not live that way. So again, I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources. How? On a continuous basis. So we're establishing that I am right here now. I'm so happy and grateful. I'm assuming, okay, I have imagination. I'm assuming that it's finished. What is it? It's money. It's increasing in quantities. It's coming from multiple sources. When? On a continuous basis. This is my desired result. Imagination. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources. On a continuous basis. I'm assuming it. My attention is there, and that's the desired result. Most of society lives in a mindset of I have to trade time for money, right? I have a job. If you can get this seared into your brain, so that it's just repetitious. It's just constant, like I'm doing now. You do this, pay no attention to how soon, how long it'll take, what form it's going to come in. And I'm telling you, when you're walking today, tomorrow, whatever it may be, and I don't care if you see a dime, if you see a nickel on the ground, you pick it up and you hold to it. Thank you. I am so happy and grateful. Money is coming to me from my source that is unknown to me. See, when most people are like, that's a nickel, that's a dime, oh, great, it's a pig penny, whatever. From this point forward, change the programming. You change this, and I promise you, your life is going to start to change in miraculous ways. It is a law of the universe, guaranteed. You keep doing this, and your life is going to take on changes you never thought possible. Use this for health, use it for anything. I just use it for money. Okay, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am perfect health. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am living in my perfect relationship, whatever it may be. You do this, and I promise you, your life is going to change in so many different ways. You're going to be so very happy. Have a great day.